Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of November 26th, 2023. As a reminder, there is a special promotion for podcast listeners. You can use coupon code podcast15 for 15% off any astrology consultation. So you can go to the link in the show notes or my website, astrologybyceleste.com, and book your astrology reading there, whether you want to talk about what happened at Thanksgiving or have a year ahead discussion about next year or anything else. If you need to make some decisions, I am here to help. So last week I talked about that we had a chart pattern called a yod, where Jupiter was at the apex and Mercury and Venus were sextiling at the base. And a yod is the finger of God chart pattern, and it's you've been pointed at. Well, now we know who was pointed at. It was Sean P. Diddy Combs. He is a rapper and a music mogul who I'm sure most people have heard of. If not, you can Google him. Well, it turns out he was sued for $30 million by Cassie, who's a singer who I don't know all the details, but he discovered her, is my understanding, and she was his girlfriend for many years, and there was a huge age discrepancy. Like he was 37 and she was 19 when they first announced that they were dating or what have you. In the lawsuit, she alleges that he was violent, sexually abusive, involved in sex trafficking, and all sorts of other scorpionic themes, and that he was very cruel and brutal and controlling. So Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter rules celebrities and Taurus wealth. He's, I believe, a billionaire or something like that. I mean, he's got a lot of money. And at the base was Venus in Libra. She's this really beautiful woman, and they were in a relationship, and it was sextile Mercury in Sagittarius. And yeah, so she's made an announcement about how Mercury in Sagittarius, I talked about how a planet in detriment can act in extreme and unstable ways. And that is what she's alleged. So this finger of God really speaks to this whole situation. And last week we had the new moon in Scorpio and opposite Uranus in Taurus. So Scorpio's shadow energies can be about being controlling and brutal and sexually, doing perverse stuff with the opposition to Uranus. Uranus can be about perverse behavior. And he settled that lawsuit within 24 hours after saying he is not guilty of anything. So you can take from that what you will, but his Mars is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and Mars rules sex. Mars in Capricorn is exalted. It's the drive plus the ability to stay with things. This makes a great CEO. Now, exalted planets can also speak to like an arrogance around things. And I mean, I guess that's a big part of the rap game, like bragging about yourself. So that makes sense. But anyway, 29 Capricorn, it's that last anaretic karmic degree where when people have planets at 29 degrees of a sign, there's going to be some kind of crisis at some point related to it in their life. So Mars, a crisis around sex and his sexual behavior. And a lot of the talk is about how he behaved at work. Like he supposedly dangled some guy out a window because he looked at Cassie the wrong way or something like that. Like he was very possessive over her. Yeah. And Pluto is on his Mars. So transit Pluto at 28 Capricorn on his Mars at 29 Capricorn. Pluto burns things down to the studs in order to be rebuilt. Pluto humbles. Pluto humiliates. Pluto exposes that deep, dark secrets in order to be in order to be purified, bring the truth to light. So yeah, this story was very aligned with that transit. So his Mars reports into his Saturn because Mars in Capricorn, Saturn rules Capricorn, and he has his Saturn in Taurus retrograde opposite to the degree his Mercury in Scorpio. So again, and he is a Scorpio. So again, we get the scorpionic theme, and Mercury opposite Saturn can be someone who's very controlling. On a shadow side, it doesn't have to be, it's not with everyone. And his moon in Virgo, we don't know the degree, but his moon is definitely in Virgo, which can also bring themes of control. And at the new moon, Venus was conjunct his Uranus within a degree. So Venus conjunct Uranus, shocking things about a relationship and what he did to this woman. Allegedly, there's pictures of her being beat up and all of this kind of stuff. And the south node in the sky is on his Venus-Jupiter conjunction. Venus, a relationship, Jupiter, wealth. He is paying her a lot of money, probably more than that $30 million to keep quiet. I had predicted we might have a bunch of hostages released because of negotiation for exchanging them for aid to Gaza. I don't know if I did it on the podcast or I definitely did it on Instagram. And it was announced on Wednesday or Thursday of last week that the United States, Israel, and Qatar and Hamas are all negotiating release of dozens of hostages. So hopefully that will have happened. I'm taping this early because of Thanksgiving, but hopefully it will have happened around the first quarter moon in Aquarius that a bunch of the people are released, and hopefully it'll be in exchange for a lot of aid. The theme of this week is question your beliefs, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that we'll have a full moon in Gemini on Monday. It will be at 4 degrees of Gemini. So the sun in Sagittarius opposite the moon in Gemini. These are both mutable signs. Gemini is mutable air. So we can think about there'll be topics around information coming out this week, maybe lots of news. All is revealed. Gemini is a sign of the twins. There's a duality to the nature, so there may be multiple sides to the issue. Now, it's ruled by Mercury, the trickster. People with strong Gemini energy can be very clever, expressive, have the ability to turn a phrase in a really unique and clever way. It's an adaptable sign, flexible. So think about how you can be flexible this week or versatile if needed. And a great time to be journaling and writing down your thoughts. And you can write down your thoughts and question your beliefs because Sagittarius is a sign of the beliefs. And Gemini is the sign of bringing in new information and making adjustments accordingly. Now, shadow energies can be about being very scattered or restless, scheming, lying. These are shadow Gemini energies. Fickle, superficial, very changeable, or unfocused. So keep that in mind, that the energy is very mutable, and Mars and the Sun are traveling together, and they both recently squared Saturn. So there is accident energy out there. So just drive carefully. There may be some like really big accidents, maybe potentially due to weather during this full moon. So pay attention, slow down, try to not multitask, especially when you're driving or also walking. Like if you have planets or placements near 4 degrees of the mutable sign, this could be someone who trips and falls. Mars is a planet of action, and accidents, and it's conjunct the sun. So just be mindful of that and slow down. Mars is parallel and opposite the asteroid Panacea during this lunation. So there may be some medical stories. Maybe something will come to light about COVID with the Gemini moon, some truth exposed about, it could be anything. Yeah. The Sabian symbol is a radical magazine or publication asking for action, displays a sensational front page. Now, I talked a couple of weeks ago thinking that it may have been Trump with that Jupiter, the Yod pointing at, but his trial is still going on at this time. But maybe that will be one of the headlines that this week, because he is has the flip. He's a Gemini Sun, Sag Moon, and his chart's very activated this week. We'll find out that he has to pay X number of millions for his fraud case. Maybe something that comes to light this week. I wonder if there'll be more talk about banning TikTok. Recently, they did something where Osama bin Laden's letter to America was being promoted, and all of these, like, I don't know if they would be millennials or what, were going on TikTok and talking about how much sense it made. So it's like we're really in fairy tale land when American citizens are promoting Osama bin Laden. But even that's a whole nother story. But there may be some sensational news coming up this week. The tarot card for the sun in Sag is the 8 of Wands. And so the 8 of Wands is fast. It's forward moving. Things are going to be happening fast. It's like the card looks like a bunch of wands being thrown. It looks like a ton of missiles being fired. And one of my favorite decks, the Modern Witch Tarot, it's like a woman is riding on a motorcycle going fast. So be aware, there's a lot of movement with the energy. And the sun in Sagittarius is the astrology correspondence. For the moon, the tarot card is the 8 of Swords. The astrology related to that is Jupiter and Gemini. So this also is a card that has movement to it. It's like movement of the air and the intellect. Now, this can be a prison of your own making. This can be too much information, so you may need to take a break from the news. Notice if you're having racing thoughts and think about how you can use your breath or whatever tools to calm yourself down. Think about how you can deplug from overstimulation. The tarot card has someone whose wrists are bound, but they're bound loosely, like with scarves, and it's something that you can like get out of on your own if you slow down and take note. Regarding the moon phase family, this full moon was seated back on May 30th of 2022, where the sun was and moon were both at 9 degrees of Gemini. 9 months later, the first quarter moon, the sun in Pisces, the moon in Gemini, both at 8 degrees, was on February 27th of this year. And tomorrow, November 27th, we have the sun and the moon in Gemini, both at 4 degrees. And 9 months from now, the last quarter moon, the sun in Virgo, the moon in Gemini, both at 3 degrees on August 26th, 2024. So think about if there's a story that came to light in your life or started around May 30th of 2022, give a couple of weeks on both sides, and did it have something else, a pivot point around the end of February, early March of this year, 2023, and what's going on now? Is there a story that comes to light now? A really great week to journal. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Venus, the planet of love, beauty, harmony, relationships, money, in the sign of Libra, the sign of peace and diplomacy and balance and legal affairs, will hit the South Node, which is a cosmic drain that sucks things out at 24 degrees of Libra. And so they're both Venus and the South Node will be on the fortunate fixed star Spica, which speaks to wealth and success and people who are kind of raised up. Now, when this happens, Venus will also be quincunx Neptune. Quincunxes move us into situations where we have to release and let go of things. Neptune dissolves. It's the planet of illusions and delusions. And also, the sun on the same day Venus hits the South Node will be quincunx Jupiter. So we have themes around Sun in Sagittarius, quincunx Jupiter in Taurus. So this is probably the week Donald Trump may be getting his judgment or wrapping up his case. Yeah, like someone who's very wealthy, but accused of fraud, Neptune. And he's a sun figure, a celebrity, a Jupiterian figure. That's also celebrity. Sun, he's also a leader. Yeah. And he's got a lot of that Sagittarius energy with, being, just lawless and reckless at times is how he has behaved in the past, or a funny relationship with the truth, and Jupiter rules the truth. So anyway, this conjunction is going to be in his third house of communication, squaring his Venus-Saturn conjunction pretty tightly. It's right. His Venus is at 25 Cancer, his Saturn at 23 Cancer. So it is squaring right between those two. And Venus rules his midheaven, so his career, and Saturn rules his seventh house. So that can be like with a lawsuit, it's an open enemy. So yeah, this could be when he gets his judgment. I'm also looking at Israel because their ascendant is at 23 degrees of Libra. So there may be some news that's uncovered that Venus is their chart ruler that sends Israel in some way down the drain. Like they've been attacking this hospital, but as of today have yet to find these tunnels underneath it. The death toll of civilians is rising and rising in Gaza, and the world's eyes are upon them during this war and this offensive. So we'll see. Pay attention to news about Israel and specifically hostages. Hopefully, this is not the day they wait to let some hostages go. We'll see what happens with that. It also could be important news just about the United States in general, our debt, the money we give to other countries for things like war, because this Venus and the South Node are traveling in the 10th house of the country. So the 10th house is about the authority, squaring our natal Mercury in the 8th house of the income and assets of foreign countries, themes of death and war and that sort of thing. So yeah, there may be a lot of breaking news about Israel. It may be related to what the United States is doing. Also, be careful about overspending, sending your money down the drain. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that Mercury, the planet of communication, commerce, and transportation, will enter the sign of Capricorn on Friday. And Mercury will be in its shadow. It's already in its shadow. It started yesterday, I think, about the retrograde that is coming up. Now, when Mercury enters Capricorn, your mind may go to more practical matters. You may find yourself getting more serious or disciplined, like if you went crazy with the food and the alcohol and everything else over Thanksgiving. Maybe you'll get serious and get back on your diet. Or you're, eating healthy, not necessarily on a diet per se. But yeah, you can think about that. So just so you know, Mercury will station to go retrograde at 8 Capricorn on December 12th. So stuff may be coming up about the past. Now, Mercury went direct at 8 Capricorn back on January 18th. So it did a retrograde all in Capricorn and went direct at 8 Capricorn. So now the fact that it's stationing to go retrograde on that same degree makes me think something from January is going to be coming up now. So both in January and now it is stationing on this fixed star Phasces, which is a very feared fixed star. There's very violent imagery related to this star. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, has his asteroid of strategy, Pallas Athene, here. So that again brings up his themes of brutality. It's the Archer, the eye of the Archer with penetrating vision is how Bernadette Brady describes it. The penetrating stare of a lethal weapon. It can be a person with this active can become a great leader or a fearsome dictator. And it can be a person who takes action with no regard for others. Now, the other side of this, and it can be very cruel and ruthless, or it can just symbolize focus, energy, or someone who's a high achiever. The day Cassie filed her lawsuit, we had a waxing crescent moon begin at 8 Capricorn on this fixed star. So Diddy, it's not over for Diddy, even though he paid all this money. All this stuff is going to be coming back up again. Now, I looked to the news on December 18th to see what stories may be coming up. The Pentagon sent U.S. arms stored in Israel to Ukraine on the day that Mercury stationed to go direct. Yeah. There were also a bunch of mass shootings in the U.S., and there was some big helicopter crash in Ukraine. So these are some of the things that may be coming up. Mercury will go back into Sagittarius on December 22nd and station direct at 22 degrees of Sagittarius on January 1st, and it'll be approaching a square with Neptune. Now, Venus in Sagittarius will be square Saturn on that same day. I would not recommend going to see the ball drop in Times Square. There could be some kind of event. This Venus square Saturn is a party that's no fun, wasted money, things like that, feeling lonely in relationship. Mercury stationing direct to me feels like something lawless could be going on. So I would avoid large crowds on December 31st. Personally, and just be aware if you're traveling over the holidays, there could be twists and turns and unexpected delays. It could just be about delays due to weather, but I'd be careful. On Sunday, the word of the day is belligerent. Venus in Libra will be quincunx Uranus in Taurus. They'll both be at 20 degrees. So there may be some kind of conflict about money spending, conflict in relationships where someone's being unexpectedly difficult. So just keep that in mind. That's the energy. The moon will enter Gemini at 4:39 p.m. Pacific time. This Gemini is a mutable air sign, and somebody may start talking about what went on at Thanksgiving and how they're not happy about it. Mercury in Sagittarius will be trine the North Node at 24 degrees of Aries. And Eris, the goddess of chaos, is right there. So there may be like chaos at airports where people are just being rude to each other or something like that. On Monday, the word of the day is bigly. It's Amazon Prime Day, so people are going to be spending a bunch of money. You can consider getting a reading with the discount of the podcast 15 discount. Yes, you can. Oh, you also can sign up for the Sagittarius New Moon Workshop with that discount code as well. So keep Astrology by Celeste in mind if you're in the mood to spend anything. The full moon will be at 1:16 a.m. Pacific time at 4 degrees of Gemini. And Mercury in Sagittarius will also square Neptune in Pisces at 24 degrees. So you may become aware of a lie. You may become aware of or confusion may clear, or if your mind was foggy, it may clear up, or something like that. This is scammer energy, so be very careful about not clicking on any links that are suspicious, or like double check everything before you click it. You know, sometimes they do things where it appears someone you know has sent something and it's not. So just be mindful. Now, Trump has Mercury square Neptune in his chart, so that's another reason I think maybe this is the week we'll find out his fate. On Tuesday, the word of the day is root. The moon will enter Cancer at 10:53 a.m. Pacific time. You can think about Cancer, getting back to your roots, getting grounded after the holiday if you celebrate it. Yeah, you can think about how do you want to nurture yourself or practice self-care. Take a bath is a great thing to do. Yeah, just eat some healthy soup. I love that for this day. On Wednesday, the word of the day is extravagant. This is a day Venus is conjunct the South Node at 24 Libra. Be mindful in your relationships, the ones you don't want to send down the drain, that there's this energy going on. This could be the day about news around Israel or the Trump trial. Will you hear people talking about wasting money, or all the money they've wasted over the holidays could be possible. The sun in Sagittarius will be quincunx Jupiter in Taurus. So this could put a spotlight on excessive spending or how you want to grow your wealth, things like that. They'll both be at 7 degrees. Yeah, I think a legal judgment for a lawless person is quite possible on this day. On Thursday, the word of the day is dissolution. This is the day Venus is quincunx Neptune, where you may have to let go of and Venus is in Libra, Neptune in Pisces. You might have to take the rose-colored glasses off. Maybe you'll see the truth of something in a relationship or intellectually understand it. Not that anything's necessarily bad, but sometimes you have to dissolve that image you thought. The disseminating moon at 23 Cancer happens at 7:41 p.m. Pacific time. That's conjunct the Mercury of the United States chart. And it's also in a square with Trump's Venus-Saturn conjunction. So there could be some big news about the U.S., about him. Yeah, I don't know. It could be big news about something or not big news, but news about something. The full moon, I just think it might be something about how America's wealth is being used in the war in Israel. On Friday, the word of the day is caution. Mercury will enter Capricorn at 6:31 a.m. Pacific time. Now, 0 degrees of Capricorn is on a world point, so pay attention to what news you hear about the government or big business. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we hear. The Leo moon begins at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So Leo is fixed fire. It's this exuberant, dynamic energy where people may want, whenever the moon's in Leo, people talk more loudly, wear more bright colors, especially like red. You may be seeing more red. So it's a great weekend to have some fun, but just keep in mind that you want to be a little bit cautious because there's still this energy of moving too fast is over the whole week. On Saturday, the word of the day is responsible. Mercury in Capricorn is sextile Saturn and Pisces at 1 degree of each sign. Sextiles are opportunities, so you may get the opportunity to take on more responsibility, or you may realize how you need to limit yourself. A bunch of people may have a hangover after going out and overindulging with that Leo moon. So yeah, the word is responsible. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.